little bit about what's going on with Twitter. First off, the death of bot and automation. And this is why I hated Twitter a couple years ago. It was so easy to create accounts, create bots, post in an automated fashion, engage, reply, everything in an automated fashion, that Twitter just made itself irrelevant in my eyes. There was not genuine interaction occurring there. And they've really taken drastic measures to address that. Like, they've pretty much killed bots and automation. This is a direct quote, and once again, it's linked again from the head of site integrity over at Twitter. Bots are dead. They're just not allowed anymore. Okay, any type of automation as far as behavior, as far as likes, retweets, it's all gone. Okay, which is great. So, there's been some news that, hey, Twitter's users are going down. That, in my mind, isn't bad news, because they're primarily all the junk spam bot accounts that weren't even real to begin with. So I think that's a good thing. Because also remember, for the first time ever in 2018, Twitter's actually been profitable. So I think they're making all the right moves. If you would have asked me 2 years about Twitter, would not have been a fan. Every day, I feel a little bit better about Twitter. Their algorithm has changed a little bit as far as the timeline is concerned, which once again, I think is a very smart move on their part. It used to be basically who were you following and what was the newest. Now they've shifted to really more of an algorithmic timeline where something could have been posted an hour ago, but if this is somebody you follow, somebody you engage with, somebody you're constantly looking at their thing, they're going to put it at the top of your thing. I think that's a very smart move, and it's really improved engagement quite a bit. And to add on to that, Twitter also gives people the opportunity to turn this off if they want to go back to the old way of where it was just, hey, what's the freshest thing of people you follow? So I think it's a good change. I think it's really improved engagement on Twitter. It's a smart move. And then finally, this was something where everybody thought it was a horrible idea, and it's turning out to probably be a pretty good idea. And we'll talk more about the importance of this as we talk about strategies with Twitter. They've changed from that 140 character limit to 280 characters. And this actually, a little fun fact for you, this actually came from, this decision came from Twitter use in Japan. In Japan, the written language, the characters mean a lot more. So 140 characters to them was a lot more characters than what 140 characters are to us as far as meaning is concerned. And so Twitter tested this, and they found that more characters equals higher levels of engagement. And it's really worked out quite well as far as increasing overall engagement on Twitter. Because tweets with more characters typically do have a higher engagement. Now, with that being said, and this is why this is so important, even though when more characters are used, there has a tendency to be higher engagement. So that's, replies, that's comments, that's length of time reading. Even though that is a fact and that's the case, the average tweet is still only 35 characters. So if you're a marketer on this webinar, one thing you should really start thinking about today is lengthening those tweets if you're using Twitter. Because just by having more meaningful tweets that are deeper and really using those 280 characters, you're going to improve your exposure and your overall engagement on Twitter itself. So let's talk about the algorithm. And I kind of skipped ahead a little bit, but the more characters you use, the better. There is a direct correlation between using the 280 characters available and engagement rate. Just like Facebook, credible profiles are favored. This is a big, big thing across all the platforms, but typically Twitter and Facebook, since they were really abused the past, well, it's been years, but it really came to a head the past couple of years, that they're looking at how long that account's been around, how it engages, if it's real, really looking at things, looking at how complete the bio is, location, graphics, all that fun stuff. So credible profiles are absolutely favored in regards to the algorithm. Now, this is important too. The time someone spends reading your content is important. So somebody could not like it, they could not reply to it, they could do nothing. They could just read it. The longer people read that content, the more likely it is to show up in their feed. All right. So somebody who doesn't take an action except for reading, because the reality is, most people, even if they read something, they don't engage with it. But if somebody's reading your content, the longer they read it, the more likely it is to show up their feed, whether they take an action or not. That's how smart these algorithms are getting. So it's very important to keep that in mind. And these are things that you can see in your analytics on Twitter, is how long people are looking at your content. So you should take advantage of that. And then once again, and this is no big surprise, timing of your tweets is heavily weighted. Look, the pace, and I'm not telling anybody anything they don't know, the pace of Twitter compared to other platforms is breakneck speed. And that's why it's really the platform, as I mentioned before, of the look at this. And this is why it's so heavily favored by news organizations and writers, because the shelf life of a tweet is very small compared to, let's say, Facebook. Facebook has a tendency to be, hey, what's going on this week, versus Twitter, what's happening now. So the way you pace and the timing of your tweets is extremely important. And there are free tools out there. I cited a good article that talks about some of the tools that figure out the best times to engage with your audience. But once again, I can't stress enough, Twitter gives you a lot of data in their analytics, in their insights. Check it out. Just like every other platform, they want your content. So anything native is going to get preference. And at the end of the day, just like all the other platforms, engagement is king. The more likes, replies, and retweets a piece of content gets, the more people that are going to see it. So taking all that into account with the algorithm, what should we be doing? Timing. Find out when your followers are on. Tweeting at the optimal time increases your chances for engagement, which increases your exposure. There's tons of data out there. You can take a little bit of time, figure out when people are engaging. That's when you should be posting. And I keep on going back to it, but Twitter Analytics has a wealth of data. Develop followers around specific topics. Find out what your followers are most interested in. Full stop. The days of throwing spaghetti against the wall are gone. Okay, it's not going to work. You're going to spend a lot of time, not going to get a lot of results. Take some time, do a little research, see what people are interested in. Be very focused on a topic and find out the people that are engaging with you, what type of content they're the most interested in. And I'll finally say it for the third time. Twitter Analytics has a ton of data. Ask all you guys, when was the last time you went into Twitter Analytics and really looked at that data? Okay. And then from that data, and this is, I know nobody can answer me right now, unless you fill out a question, is I ask all you guys, have you looked at that data and then sat down and put together a content strategy? And I bet you, just from doing this for the amount of time that I've been, very few of you have. So really, one of the best things you can do for yourself is sit down and look at these analytics and put together a content strategy. And that's also something we help our clients with as well. Engage with your followers. It's just not about getting engagements from them. It's about you engaging as well. This really helps your overall exposure in Twitter. So not just going, putting out content, hoping people, engage with but go out to relevant people, engage with their content. When somebody leaves you a comment, reply back. Engagement back is very heavily weighed in Twitter. And then another thing, just tweet on a regular basis. Just like many of the platforms, if you're just sporadic and you don't consistently tweet, you're not going to get a lot of traction. You do need to tweet on a regular basis, preferably daily. Okay, make sure you have good content that can support it. But if you're just tweeting once a month, once a week, sporadically, you're not going to get a lot of traction. You're not going to build a following. You need to be tweeting on a regular basis.